Hey everyone, how's it going? DS Tanks here, and I want to talk about snells in my fish tank. This tank's been up and running for about a year. I set it up, last February now, so a year. And originally, when I got these plants, it was in the 10-gallon tank, and I wanted to do a planted tank, so I went out to a couple pet stores and found some plants. Not a huge selection in my area, at least the city that I had went to. And I'm not 1,000% sure where all the snells came from, but I do know where at least a couple of them came from. One of the stores I went to had a section of just plants, but it was basically in the same water as the fish. And I noticed the snell on there in the bag before I even left. I wasn't really alarmed because I'd seen plenty about snells before going and getting the plants. So even though I wasn't really going to get snells, I still kind of thought, it might be fun. And at first I was a little bit alarmed. The more I thought about it, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have got these plants. Maybe it's not going to be a good idea. But after a while, I just got used to seeing them in there. They didn't breed too much in the first month or two, but once they started, they really started. I'd heard that they're good algae eaters, good for keeping the tank clean. As you can see by this tank, not so much. I mean, a large part of that is my fault. I don't do nearly enough maintenance on this particular tank, but the water parameters are fine, so I'm not really all that worried about it except for looks. I do have a couple of species in there. I think all the little ones are bladder snells, if I'm not mistaken. There is a ram's horn in there somewhere, but it's not really visible at the moment. I don't know where he is. So as far as if they're good or bad or not, there's good and bad, right? They probably do help with the algae. It probably would be worse without them, but they don't really do a huge job at cleaning. I mean, the whole tank is covered in algae. And for how many snells are in there, how many they've bred, they've actually culled back a little bit. I don't know if it's just because of the amount of food in there or what, but I think there were more at one point. But they're not really doing anything as the algae as far as I can tell. But it could be way worse without them. I don't know. It is kind of fun to see them have more life in the tank and just see more things moving around in there. I especially like the ram's horn snell just because he's by himself and hasn't multiplied or anything. I'm not sure if they can do that on their own or not. I see different things on the internet. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. They do provide, some extra fertilizer there for the plants. I think that's one of the reasons the crypt has just exploded in size compared to what it originally was when I got it. As far as good or bad goes, to me, it's neither good nor bad. There's pros and cons to both. When I try to clean, one of the reasons the tank is so dirty is I don't really like cleaning the front of it much because I don't want to kill a bunch of them. Even though in this video there will be a jump where I wiped it off a little bit, cleaned it a little bit on the inside, but I tried to kind of push them to the side or, get them off into the water as opposed to squishing them against the glass. But it makes it hard when they're just covering the front. You can't really clean as much and you can't really see as much. So I can see both sides of it. I can see why some people see them as pests. They do completely explode. The bladder snells do. Part of that's my fault, once again, probably for having the light on too long. Too much, maybe overfeeding. So there's too much nutrients in there. I probably need to cut back on the light and see if that algae clears up a little bit. But yeah, I can see why people like them. I can see why people don't like them. To me, it's just kind of a whatever thing. I'm trying to keep them out of my new tank, the 10-gallon with the gourami and pleco in there. I'm trying to keep that one clear as long as I can anyways. There probably is going to be some cross-contamination because I'm not buying 75 different utensils or buckets for everything. So I just try to do the best I can with that. One of the other cons, though, is at least with the ram's horn snell, the betta fish I wonder if he gets stressed out a little bit because he does like to flare at and attack the ram's horn sometimes. He doesn't do it every single day, but there are spurts where it'll be like all throughout the day. He'll be just flaring up and trying to attack the ram's horn snell. And there's other days where he doesn't seem to even notice him. I've thought about taking that snell out and putting it in the 10-gallon just to take some stress off the betta, if that's even stress. I don't know. But everything you see on the internet and I've read and watched say they're really not bad for the tank. They're not any real problem. If there's way too many, you'd think there would be an ammonia spike, I guess. Doesn't seem to happen in this tank. Like I said, the plants seem to be doing quite well. My first ever planted tank, so I've done very minimal effort to do anything with them. I did put fertilizer in it for the first few months until it ran out or so, and then it actually seemed to grow. The crypt grew after I stopped using the fertilizer, funny enough. But basically, my opinion on snails is there are some cool ones. I've thought about getting some, what are they called? Not mystery, Neurite snails. I thought about getting some Neurite snails I see down at my local pet shop. They look pretty cool, different colors. I'm probably going to have snails in some tanks, not snails in other tanks. It just depends on what I feel like doing. If they end up in there, I'm not necessarily going to do anything to get them out. One of the reasons I haven't medicated this tank here is because I'm afraid of what it'll do to plants and the snails, particularly the ram's horn snail. But I guess I can just take him out and put him in the other tank if I wanted to. But overall, not good or bad. It's your own preference, really. I wouldn't go out of my way to exterminate them unless it just got ridiculous and I had no choice. Really, all you gotta do is stop feeding so much and turn the lights out. I think the population dulled back after I started paying attention to how long the light was on and how much I was feeding. In this video, I also feed the beta there. I don't know, just throwing up a quick video. I've had these snails for a year. There's probably multiple generations in there. It's kind of cool to see them grow and expand, and it's a whole little snail civilization in there. If you enjoy this type of content, do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you keep snails, if they're in any of your tanks, or if you can't stand them and you do whatever you can to get rid of them. Yep, that's my little video for the day. Have a good one.